know, many people have perished because they missed the caribou migration by about a week up here in the Arctic. I'm probably about 2 weeks early on the Arctic char running up this river, and I'm paying for it with an empty belly. For 8 long months here in the high Arctic, the ocean is frozen solid. And in the summer, and even using that term summer is a bit of a stretch, there's a short period of time where the land is finally allowed to breathe. When the snow and ice finally retreat, researchers from all over the world come here to study narwhal, polar bear, and even killer whales. Every year, there are stories of people who get stranded. Even the local Inuit get lost and have to survive out here. The weather can come in hard and lock you in from traveling home for weeks on end. So I'm here to survive, alone, without food, with very little gear, and no camera crew in the Arctic tundra.
I'm on northern Baffin Island, where every month is a new season. At 72 degrees north latitude, the sun remains in the sky nearly 24 hours a day this time of year. The ocean might have thawed, but it remains cold enough to kill you within minutes of complete immersion. It's a harsh and unforgiving land. I've left the research team on the rock and I'm being boated into a remote location for my own challenge. Any travel in this region is long-distance travel. Right now, most of it's done by boat over the deadly cold Arctic waters. Just as it would play out with an actual researcher, I've given myself a few items to survive with. Fishing tackle, a two-way radio, and a battery, a small handful of whale blubber given to me by my Inuit guide, and a collapsible canoe. The spot I've chosen is a prime fishing area for Arctic char, but they only run here once a year, and like the caribou herds, if you miss the run, you can starve to death in an area that otherwise teems with life.
Well, at least I'm left with this survival suit. That'll help keep me warm. Even just trying to get out here, we had to put up with 2 solid days of strong winds and rain, and it actually delayed me getting out to this spot, coming from our base camp. But I'm in it now. Wherever I end up having to survive, I've got to set myself a list of priorities. In a place like this, it's going to be shelter. I'm extremely exposed here. The wind is blowing in hard, it's cold off the water, and it could rain on me at any moment. It could also turn to snow. All I really have to work with in this old fishing camp is that shack behind me there. And there's no roof.
It never fails to bring me down a little, this worldwide juxtaposition of ocean refuse and ocean beauty.
That's pretty gross. It's all rotting and filled with mold on the inside here, so I don't think this is the spot. Lots of junk around here. Might as well make use of it. This'll help.
It's not hard to find refuse on the shores of all the world's oceans. The advantage is, of course, that without it, I'd be reduced to hiding behind a small hill somewhere to get out of the wind.
Well, it's a wind block and a rain block. And that's what I need. Lots of breeze coming through here, but start. So here I am sitting in the middle of the Arctic, eating whale blubber from a narwhal. A going-in gift given to me by the Inuit hunter that was training me out here. Now, the problem with this whale blubber and the skin is that the smell of it is basically a dinner bell for polar bears. Raw whale blubber and skin. In polar bear territory. This feels kind of like deja vu. I don't know that this is a smart thing to be doing.
Well, I'm sleeping with a gun beside me tonight. Loaded. Hopefully I won't have any issues with polar bears at all. I'm sleeping on top of the floater suit. I'll put it on if I get cold enough. It's actually quite cold here. It looks beautiful, but the wind coming off that ocean is really cold. I don't need to use night vision on the camera at all because it's 24 hours of daylight. I don't think I can stay here too long. The wind is really pushing in here. It's hard to fish on the ocean side here just because the waves are so big. Just got to get through tonight. Wind and the Arctic go hand in hand. Small canoes can be useless in a place with frigid waters, big waves, and relentless winds. I'm alone out here. If I were to capsize, I'd be in more trouble than I even care to think about.
Man, it's so windy, it's just blowing that big iceberg right into the bay here. It's got me locked down. I can't get the canoe in the water to move and get closer to the fresh water. And it's gotten pretty cold, so wind can blow like this for weeks. And at this stage, no boat can come back here and get me.
In the Arctic, the land and weather just are. You can either handle it or you can't. And taking chances is a fool's game. Right now, no safety crew could get to me if they wanted to. And with polar bears around, taking a chance on survival is exactly what I'm doing.
The wind is coming in way too strong for me to stand out here and try to do any fishing to get some food. It's brutally cold coming in off the Arctic Ocean. I'd be chilled to the bone in no time. Now that iceberg way down in the corner is the size of an office tower. And 8 hours ago, it was many miles down that way. Yet over the course of the time, while I was hunkered down in that little shack, it was blown right across the bay. That's how strong this wind is. And it's cold. For now, I'm gonna head inland just a little bit, get a drink of water from a nearby stream. There's a river down that way, and then come back in and hunker down. That's all I can do is wait out this wind because I can't travel. I can't put the canoe in the water and get out of here. It capsized in seconds. Unlike a lot of places I've been, Giardia is not very prevalent in the Arctic. The water is all fresh and clean, coming straight from glaciers.
With water looked after, I can concentrate on trying for some food. In colder temperatures, the need for food escalates. My energy is depleted much faster while I deal with the wind and the cold.
Well, I might as well try switching lures for a while anyway. This one's not working. I tried scouting around by the river to see if there was a spot in behind a ridge that I could get protected from this wind, and it's not so bad. There's a few spots, but it's still pretty windy there. Instead, I think I know a way I can make my shelter a little warmer. In fact, I think I can get a fire going.
Ingenuity is always the mother of survival. Once I started looking around with an eye towards surviving, it's amazing what small items, man-made or natural, that there are that can help to improve my situation.
Well, don't look so surprised. There's not a ocean side in the world that I've been to yet that doesn't have refuse on it. Oh, hopefully that'll work. Now I just have to try and get a fire going without matches here. Focus. There we go. Now it's focused. With very little effort at all, I'm able to walk around this old fish camp, and there's all kinds of little slivers of wood, bits of plastic, and I don't have to put much effort into it. Just have to gather it up, bring it over here, and I've got a good fire bundle. Of course, now I need to have the fire. All right, this CB radio. Right now, it's not the radio that I want. It's the battery from the radio. It's a little 12-volt battery. This is what I need. Well, scored a couple of things when I went over and looked in that big 45-gallon drum full of junk. There was old cups and teapots and tons of metal cans, but also old dish scrubbers and steel wool. And with this and this battery, I can make fire. I just have to touch the steel wool of those two terminals and it should ignite for me. All right, well, wish me luck. Touch it to this terminal here. Oh, let's get it under there. Ah, that is nice. Woo! Boy, if any place I needed a fire, it's here in the Arctic. And that worked like a charm.
Just about every place on the planet has an ancient and primitive people's history. The Arctic shares its history easily, as it can be thousands of years before items biodegrade and vanish from existence.
This mound here is a couple of thousand years old. The Thule Indians first lived out here, and this is what they made. Big sawed circles. The camera's actually in a lower circle, and then there's the entranceway down even lower. Come into one, come into the other, and over top would be whale rib bones and caribou hide. And that would make their shelter, which would be a heck of a lot warmer than the plywood crate I'm sleeping in. And all this area here is obviously where they harvested the sod from to make the mounds in the first place. Pull out of one area, drop it down right beside it, and make your mound.
There are places where you can take the time to affect your survival, like in the tropics. But up here, the land offers no forgiveness. It's indifferent to whether you live or die.
I should have moved. It was a calm wind for a few hours, and which I slept through, fortunately. That helps to get some sleep, but the wind has picked up incredibly now, and it's raining. I think what I'll have to do is put on my big orange survival suit and get the heck out of Dodge, which means going across the river, going across the rapids in a fold-up canoe.
All right, I'm packed up. It's probably going to take me a couple of hours and a few trips, since I have to take the canoe as well. And that's the easy part of the trip. After that, I've got to negotiate the rapids. They're only class 1 rapids. They're no big deal, just little riffles, but the water is frigid cold, and everything I have to survive with will be in that canoe. So one wrong move and I could be in a lot of trouble. But first, hike.